Recording again.
I think a lot of us can really relate to saying fine, especially as women, saying I'm fine. I'm fine. For me, fine meant fucked up, insecure, neurotic, and emotional. That was my definition of it underneath it all when I was saying it. So, yeah, I think a lot of us can really relate to what you were saying there. So, before I jump into what I'm going to talk about, I want to tell y'all something that was really, really ironic. When I started getting ready for all of this, I caught myself starting to put on my speaker mask. I caught myself trying to sound smarter and be more polished than I actually am. And, just kind of be like, I have everything figured out and like a real speaker would be, you know? So I realized that, you know, that wasn't really what I needed to be doing because we're at a summit called Unmasked. We're over here asking all of you to take your mask off and get a good look at yourself. And I was over here trying to put one on. So I made a decision to be really intentional about being me and not giving y'all speaker Sammy and just showing up as me because I really think that the version of me that just sits across from someone having a conversation and is like, okay, what's really going on is going to help a lot more people than the version of me that's trying to sound like I have it all figured out and be impressive. And Miranda is actually one of the people that's really helped me realize that and get more comfortable being authentically me. So that is who you're going to get over these next couple of days. And I hope that that takes the pressure off of you. You don't have to have all the right answers here. You don't have to say the right thing. You don't have to prove how much healing you've done or that you've got it all right. You can just show up exactly where you are. And I think that that's where real change actually starts. Sugarcoating it, hiding stuff, it doesn't get us where we want to be. When we actually look at the truth and we get real and look at everything underneath it all, that's when we can really start seeing change. And the reason that I care so much about all of this is because I was trying to figure myself out too. And I was really a chaotic mess for a long time. I got a lot of things wrong and asked a lot of really uncomfortable questions of myself. And somewhere along the way, I realized that I wasn't the only one that was trying to figure this all out. So, if you're curious about my full story, I shared all of that on a podcast. I didn't want to do this like most speakers do. And, like, as y'all can tell, like, all of this has been different from maybe most summits you've been to, where speakers want to tell their whole story and all that. Not trying to do that. So, if you want to hear it, it's on a podcast. I'll get you that info. But today is about you. So the reason I brought all of that up is really because it has everything to do with how I teach and how I approach things. If you've been around me or my content for a while, then you probably noticed that I really look at things differently than most people do. And there's a reason for that. And a big part of it is that I don't think that we need more information. A lot of us are really overloaded with information. There's information everywhere out there. You can find way more than you need on any topic at any time. So, yeah. And I feel like most of the people that I talk to, they've done the work. They're not new to this. They've read the books, they've listened to the podcasts, maybe they've done therapy, they've gone deep in the shadow work. Maybe you're actually a little tired of trying everything because it gets exhausting eventually, especially when nothing is really actually getting you the results that you want. The point is, most of us aren't starting from zero. And sometimes all it takes is actually looking at something a little bit differently than you have before to be able to really change something. So I'm not asking you to sit here and just agree with everything that I have to say. I'm just asking you to get curious enough to see if this fits your experience. I don't want you to just believe me. I want you to experiment with it, play with it, notice what actually happens. And if it helps, then keep it. If it doesn't, you don't have to. Because if you leave this summit just agreeing with every single thing I said, but you never actually experience any of it or try any of it, then nothing is really going to actually change. So see what happens with it and discover whether it's true for you or not. So before we get into all of the things, the survival spells that Miranda mentioned and identity and all of that stuff, I want to start somewhere much simpler than that. And I want you to think back over the past week for a second. Did you have one of those moments where you walked away from a conversation or something where you reacted in a way that you wish you hadn't? Maybe you stayed quiet when you really actually wanted to say something, and then afterward you caught yourself thinking, well, that didn't really feel like me, or that's not how I wanted to show up. And I have a feeling that most of us can think of a situation like that pretty quickly. And if you did think of something, then I want you to stick with the first thing that came up for you. Don't overthink it, but hang on to that moment for me because here's something that I don't think. I don't think that any of these things are random at all. Those moments where we catch ourselves thinking, why did I do that again? I think those moments are actually trying to tell us something. And I want to offer you a completely different way of looking at it. So if you're willing to experiment with me today, I want you to go ahead and get your companion guide out and you can turn to the page that didn't feel like me. And Patty, let me know if you need the link for that. I'm gonna actually share my screen real quick. Actually, no, I don't want to try doing all that and end up messing something up. Sometimes I do that. So we won't do that. If you just have paper, that's fine too. You don't have to have the companion guide to be able to actually do this. You can just write it on paper. So too. So I don't want you to write the whole story down. We're not going to take a long time here. I'm not trying to take up a bunch of your time, but I want you to just write enough that you can remember this moment because we're going to be coming back to this a few times throughout this talk. And yeah, I want you to be able to remember it. I can't talk words sometimes. They confuse me. But yeah, don't worry about making it sound good. Nobody is grading this. Nobody else has to see it. This is just your space to be honest with yourself and go ahead and write about that moment that we talked about where maybe you didn't show up in the way that you want to. And let me give y'all just a minute here to do that and we'll get back to it.
Sammie, which page?
Um, don't tell me. I think I actually it's the it's probably the one that says the moment before. Sorry, I have the wrong thing wrote down in mine. It's the first page that has my picture on it. Yeah. I somehow got the page names mixed up and like I don't know how I did that, but it's all good. Y'all have a place to write it. Thank you for mentioning that, Darlene.
Are we just writing about the thing? Like just what happened?
Yeah,
Or like how much do you want us to write about it?
yeah, just a little bit, just so that you can kind of be able to come back to it and remember it. It doesn't have to be super detailed. We're going to go further with it and actually like dig into it a little bit. Okay, and I'm gonna go ahead and keep talking, but if you're still writing, that's fine. But yeah, just keep that handy because we're going to be coming back to that memory a couple of times. Now, what if you've been calling, what if who you've been calling your personality isn't actually your personality? So I want you to stay with that moment for just a second, the one that you just wrote down. And you know how I was talking about afterward, that moment, after those moments, were like, that didn't feel like me, or that's not how I wanted to show up. Here's what really gets me about the moments like that. If that's really who you are, then you probably wouldn't actually question it, right? You wouldn't walk away from it wondering, why did I do that? Or why do I keep doing this? You'd probably just think, well, I guess that's just who I am. I guess that's just what I do. But you didn't. Something in you noticed that that wasn't you. Something in you knew that there was a difference in who you are and who you were showing up as in that moment. And I think that difference is really, really important. Most of us have been taught to just judge that gap. We shame ourselves for it. We feel guilty about it. And I think we're actually supposed to just get curious about it. So when you think about that moment, what story did you train your brain to immediately start telling you? Maybe it went straight to, I'm just anxious, or I'm just bad at boundaries. Usually we immediately make it mean something about us. So whatever came up, that's what I want you to stick with. Like, don't switch if another memory comes up or anything like that. Because I know sometimes like other things can come up, but I want us to stick with the first one because that's usually like the biggest thing. And also, don't try to change it. Don't argue with it. Just notice it. And I wonder if maybe you've been labeling yourself, like I said, instead of just getting curious about it. You do this thing and you automatically just assume that that means something about you. So what if instead of saying, I'm just a people pleaser, what if you started asking, how did I learn to become someone that people pleases? Those feel really, really different. One shuts the conversation down. It's the end of it. This is who I am. The other opens it up. The other gets you to deeper things. So let's go back to the companion guide again. And I want you to write down one label that you've been carrying. And then underneath that label, I want you to rewrite it as a question. So instead of something like, I'm just anxious, how did I learn to become someone who feels anxious? Instead of, I'm just someone that's bad at boundaries, how did you learn that setting boundaries wasn't safe for you? And remember that your first thought is probably the right one. Also, remember that we're not trying to solve anything today. All we're doing is practicing asking a different question. And I'm going to give y'all just a couple of minutes to write. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and keep going. But did that feel different to you? Like asking that question makes it all different. It's not because you figured it all out. It's because you stopped treating the label like it was a fact about you. And you don't even have to believe the new question yet. I just want you to notice that there's another way to see it. So if these labels aren't actually who you are, then where did they come from? That's where I want to talk about what I want to talk about next. Because what if we didn't choose these identities? I definitely don't think we did. What if we inherited them? I don't think that we were born believing that we weren't enough, or believing that we had to earn love, or that we always had to be the strong one. We weren't born believing that life had to be hard. So where did all of that stuff come from? What I keep coming back to all of it with is that they didn't start as identities. They started as rules. From the time we were born, well, maybe not the time we were born, because we were allowed to cry when we were babies, but from pretty early in life, we were taught don't cry. We were taught not to be too much, to keep the peace, to be the good girl. We were taught not to make people mad, not to get angry, to figure it out for ourselves, to not ask for help. Or maybe yours wasn't any of those. Whatever yours was, that's not who you are. And the really, really crazy part is nobody ever actually had to say those words out loud. The kids are paying attention to everything. We learn from what people do just as much as what they say. We learn from what we experience. And over time, those rules become something so much bigger than that. And this is where we're going to talk about survival spells. This is my new word for it. I didn't have like a word for it initially. So this is my new way of explaining it. And before anybody gets all nervous or anything, I'm not talking about like, oh, somebody put a curse on you and that's why you do these things now. You're not cursed. I don't believe that at all. I'm talking about a belief or a rule or an experience that got repeated so many times in your life that it stopped feeling like something you learned and it started feeling like who you were. So think back for a second. When you were growing up, what was the unspoken rule? Yeah, exactly, Darlene. I'm bad about paying attention to the chat, but yeah, I heard keep crying and I'll give you something to cry about too. Exactly. We weren't allowed to do those things. But yeah, there were so many unspoken rules when we were kids that were there. And it's not what people said at all. It's what your nervous system learned. Things like keep quiet or don't be too much or keep the peace. Figure it out. What role did your nervous system learn that you had to play? Whatever came up for you, don't ignore it, but also don't judge it. Just want you to notice it. See, for most of my life, I wore being the one who endures like a badge of honor. I was the one that put everyone else's needs first. I'd eat later, I'd rest later, I'd deal with the emotions later. Didn't have time to stop. I had my first kid at 19. My second daughter was born 18 months after my first. I had to keep pushing. That's what I told myself anyway. And the worst part about it was people praised me for it. So why would I stop? They'd say, you're so strong. You're such a good mom. I don't know how you do it all. How do you keep up with it? So I wore those things with pride. But somewhere along the way, I didn't just become someone who could endure hard things. I became someone who believed that I had to all the time. And I didn't realize how much my worth had just quietly became tied to what I could carry. The more I carried, the more valuable I felt. The more I sacrificed, the better I thought I was. Especially because my kids didn't always have the best mom that they could have. So I felt guilty for a really long time. So even after I started healing, I was like, oh, I have to sacrifice because I put them through hard things. So I still need to endure things and have it hard because I deserve it. And looking back, that's really, really heartbreaking because so much of it was really built around the praise that I got from it because I craved that so much. And don't hear what I'm not saying because I'm not saying that endurance is bad. Okay, life is hard sometimes. Sometimes we might need to sacrifice a little bit. Sometimes we might need to carry heavy things for a season. Endurance isn't a problem at all. The problem is when it stops being a choice and it quietly becomes the only way that you know how to live. That's when a strength becomes a survival spell. So I'm curious. Yeah, exactly. Toxic endurance. But yeah, I'm curious. What do people always compliment you on that sometimes feels really, really heavy for you to carry? Maybe it's being the strong one, being the responsible one. Whatever it is for you, it's all valid. Yeah, strong for me too, Darlene. Gotta just keep pushing through. So before we keep going, let's open the companion guide. This page should say My Survival Spell. Hopefully, I titled that one right. I'll make sure I got the page titles right tomorrow for all of y'all. But yeah, we're not going to worry about filling out this whole page right now. You can do that later. I just want you to start with one question. What rule do I think I've been living by? And you don't have to know if you're right. We're just practicing noticing. There's tons of rules that you live by. So don't like overanalyze this and go crazy if I have to pick the right one. Most of us have several limiting beliefs and rules that we've been living by for a long time. Everything in the world pretty much creates conditioning or ideas of what things should or shouldn't be. Let me give y'all just a few minutes to write here. Okay, so I want to tell y'all thank y'all for trying this. I like to call them experiments with me. So you don't have to share it. You definitely can if you want to. But I hope you're starting to see something either way. These aren't personality traits at all. They're just brilliant ways that your system learned to protect you. Our mind gets really, really creative, and it is not made to make us happy or get us the things we want in life. That's not how it works. It's here to help us survive first. And if you've experienced trauma, if you've been through hard things, especially, it's definitely worrying about those things way before it's worrying about what you want. So, yeah, maybe this isn't your personality. Maybe it's just a survival spell that you've been practicing for so long that it started feeling like your personality. You stopped knowing how to set it down. So, over this next week, I want you to try some. The next time that you catch yourself reacting, I don't want you to rush to fix it. I don't want you to rush to judge it. Just get curious about it. Ask yourself, what survival spell is running underneath this right now? And you don't even have to know the answer and figure it out. You might not be able to at first. That's okay. You're teaching yourself a different question. You're teaching yourself a different pattern, that there is a different option and that there can be a different response to things. See, I think one of the biggest reasons that so many people stay stuck is because they've mistaken all these adaptations that were made to help them, but aren't getting them what they want anymore, for identities. You start believing that's just who you are because you've repeated it for so long. I mean, some of us have repeated the same things for 30, 40, 50 years. You never know. Like, it's crazy. Do you really think if you've repeated something for that long that you can just immediately stop? It's like you become convinced that that's who you are, not that it's just something that you learn because you've been repeating it forever. So, yeah, I think a lot of us, we started believing that we we aren't enough, or that we need to earn love, or that we have to be the strong one. And I don't believe that's true because you didn't come into this world believing that. So that makes it not your identity. It makes it a story that you learn, that you've been telling yourself over and over and over again. And here's the part that I've really been fascinated by. If these survivor spells are something that you learn, then how do they end up becoming like how we feel like who we are? And I don't think that that happens all at once. I think it happens over time. Like I was saying, we just repeat it and repeat it and repeat it. Maybe the first time you stayed quiet instead of saying what you really thought because it felt safer to. But then you realized that that was easier and that it was safer. So you do it again. And then you do it again and again and again. And then after a while, it stops feeling like something that you do and it starts feeling like who you are. And that doesn't make it true at all. It's just what you've been practicing. So it feels normal for you. And the weird part is that our brains are really good at confusing what's familiar with what's true and what's good for us. Before you know it, you built your entire identity and really your whole entire reality around something that is familiar versus being true. So think about this for a second, because I think this is where it gets like really, really interesting. How do you usually finish the sentence? I've always been. Maybe for you, that sounds something like I've always been anxious, or I've always been the responsible one. I've always been the strong one. However you finish that sentence, whatever popped into your head, don't change it. Just notice it. Don't judge it either. And now, instead of I've always been anxious or whatever yours may be, what if it became I've practiced anxiety for a really long time? Like that changes everything, does it? Doesn't it? You remember when you were learning to drive? You had to think about everything, right? You had to think about where your hands were. You had to think about how hard you were pushing on the pedals. You had to really make sure you didn't hit anything. It felt like your brain was trying to do 100 things at one time. Everything took like your highest attention. My stepdad, he had the bright idea to actually teach me in the stick shift, even though we had an automatic too. So yeah, looking back, that was a really terrible idea, but I know how to drive one. But yeah, I remember thinking, I'm never going to get this. And then one day I drove all the way home and I didn't even remember the drive. I think a lot of people have done that. And you didn't become a driver overnight. You just practiced something enough times that it became automatic for you. And I think survival works the same exact way. What starts as something that we do on purpose, it eventually becomes something that we don't even realize that we're doing it anymore. We just do it automatically. So I want you to hear it in your own head one more time. I've always been what? Whatever it is for you. And now I want you to change it to I practiced. And don't worry if you don't believe it yet, that's okay. But did you feel the shift in how it felt, like saying that to yourself? Saying I've always been versus I practice should feel really, really different in your body if you pay attention to it. Like I said, you don't have to believe it yet. You don't have to try to convince yourself of it. We're just practicing looking at it differently. That's all it is. And eventually, once you look at it differently enough times, it starts becoming something you can believe. I just want you to get curious enough to wonder if there's another way to see it. Because a lot of times, for the longest time, like I just saw Darlene say that she's practiced being strong for 55 years. She's had these beliefs about who she had to be for 55 years. For 55 years, she probably never thought about looking at it another way. So sometimes, if we just get curious enough to start looking at something differently, we can really completely change it. And here's why this gives me so much hope too. If you practice your way into these patterns, then that means that you can practice your way out of them too. And yeah, it doesn't happen overnight. It doesn't happen by pretending or forcing positive thoughts. I really tried the whole fake it till you make it thing. It didn't end very well. But when we practice one moment at a time, one choice at a time, one pattern interruption at a time. And that's what we're going to talk about tomorrow. So don't worry if you have no idea what I mean by that. So, yeah, there's one thing that I hope you take away from today is that you don't need to fix yourself at all. You're not broken. It's that maybe you've just been judging yourself for something that you learned, not who you are, a pattern that you learned. And those are two completely different things. So between now and tomorrow, I want you to pay attention to every time you hear yourself say something like, that's just who I am. I want you to ask yourself, is that really who you are? Or is it something that you learned? That's it. You don't have to answer it today. You don't even have to, if you can't answer that question when you ask it, when it comes up, like it is perfectly fine if you can't actually answer the question. Just asking the question shows your brain that there's something different. So see what happens because sometimes one different question can change absolutely everything. And I know that some of the questions that we talked about today, they're not always easy to sit with. So thank you so much for showing up for yourself today and for asking those questions. And thank you for being willing to get curious instead of just jumping straight to judgment. That really takes a lot of courage. Like people don't realize sometimes how much courage it takes to heal. We have to look at a lot of shit that is not pretty sometimes. It takes being willing to see the parts of yourself that you don't want to look at. So thank you for being willing to do that. And I have a feeling that you're going to realize more than you expect between now and tomorrow. So yeah, I will see y'all tomorrow. Did anyone else want to add anything? Are y'all good?
I think
If you are,
it's
go
brilliant.
ahead.
Just saying that I've been pretending or practicing being the strong one, the good girl, because it just wrapped my brain around something completely different. That's just brilliant. And I've been doing this work for a long time and it just changed, you know.
Yay.
Yeah. Because they always say, well, how can I make more money or how
Mhm.
can I change your thinking that way? But this really, you know since my parents have passed, it's been a case of, oh, I can do anything now. But
Mhm.
this is really putting it into, I don't have to practice being their favorite daughter because I was the only daughter. It was a joke in her family. um, but yeah, it's just having to thinking of things completely different than, it's just like, that's just who I am. I've been completely out of saying that for a long time. But
Mhm.
to the point when my husband died 21 years ago next month, people were going, how do you continue? And it's just like, what choice do I have? Was my answer. It's just like, I have to keep going. there's no
Mhm.
there's no other option. It's like he's gone and I have to put one foot in front of the other. And
Yeah.
I just put it on a mask because, survival of the fittest. Don't let them see that you're weak. And I would go to work every day and put that mask on and come home. And back then I was heavily drinking. Now I don't touch alcohol, but yeah, it was just to numb myself because I was in so much emotional pain.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah. Well, I'm glad that like shifted away for you to look at it. I was really excited about today.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, that really made a big difference. Yeah, of
Well,
course.
I
Awesome.
would also just like to say that that was profound. I don't think that my answers quite exactly flowed with the way that I felt like you were asking them, but a whole process transpired and like I came to some really like beautiful epiphanies actually. So thank you.
You're welcome. I'm glad. Thank you. That makes me happy because yeah, when I was working on this, I was like, oh, this is going to be so good. I hope everyone else realizes how good it is because I think it's incredible.
Yeah.
So thank you for that. Well, all right. Was there anything that you ladies wanted to add before we turn the recording off or anything?
Nope, just really excited for day 2 when more shifts are going to happen for everybody. And if you weren't live
Yes.
today, here's the recording and make sure you're live tomorrow.
Yes. And if you haven't signed up for VIP yet, can you tell it's going to be
Yeah.
amazing? So
The,
get signed up for it.
my segment for VIP is going to be the shadow of why you are keeping the mask on to keep you safe. And the mask is all the excess weight that we have. So
That's
that's a
cool.
very big, heavy one where, you know, there's some people like Sammie who won't remember to eat, and that's her mask. My mask was, where's the sugar? So,
Yeah.
yeah. So we all have a different perspective on different things. So, yeah.
Yep.
So
Yes.
pretty
All
exciting stuff.
right. All right. Well, I guess that is it, everyone. Thank you for joining us. So we got done at a way earlier time. We wanted to make sure we had enough and didn't go over on time. But yeah, like we're not trying to make this an info heavy thing. We're actually trying to like provide you with transformation. So yeah, make sure you join us tomorrow. Much love to all of y'all. I'll see you ladies tomorrow.
Bye.
Bye.